My name's Ruth Huddleston and I am the founder and only full-time employee of Old Barn Books Limited, which was set up 3 years ago. So we concentrate on children's books. I've been in this world before, so I was a sales and marketing director at Templar Publishing for 21 years and then left and did something else for 4 or 5 years. I didn't mean to go back into publishing. So the world I came back to when I started again in 2015 was very different from the world that I'd left in 2011, apart from the fact that a recession had taken place, territories were up and down, and trends had changed. So I started by going to the Bologna Book Fair and had a launch party. I went on the Publishers Association stand with the support of the TAP grant, had a launch party to attract attention to ourselves, and celebrated the publication of our first book. So then I was able to pick up on old contacts, find new ones, get support from all the peers on the Publishers Association stand and from the PA team, and go round the fair to see what had happened in the meantime. And that's basically where we started. And shortly after our first Bologna, we made an agreement with Walker Books in Australia, so they distribute all the Old Barn Books list in Australia and New Zealand. So those two places, English language export is taken care of. After Bologna, I went again with the support of the TAP grant to Shanghai, Guadalajara and Frankfurt, all in the same year. It was like an extended world research tour, really, to find out what was going on everywhere, and I built relationships really quickly with people. Shanghai was particularly good. We had 24 offers on one book there, and luckily for me, someone who'd worked with me before had gone freelance as a rights person, so she came on board in November and was able to tie up deals immediately on all our foreign rights. So we now have everything we've produced so far, and we have 30 titles to date. Everything is sold in China and Taiwan, and we are selling in something like 14 languages now, all around the globe. Well, I got particularly stuck being a one-man band on double taxation, which is a vexatious subject, and found that the HMRC website was really hard to navigate and to work your way through, and every single deal was at risk of losing money through tax withheld at source. So I had a big conversation with the DIT representative about it on the PA stand in Frankfurt last year, and he's on the case and sorting out a system for it. So I now know, thanks to Gloria and the DIT team, people that I can go to get something big like that sorted. I just think they need to be aware of where there can be bumps in the road, and they can do things to help us along. Being very small, one of the biggest ones is not being able to do everything at the same time. And I think we touched on it in the panel earlier, language barriers sometimes, although I speak French, Spanish and German, so I'm okay in European countries. When we get further afield, I get stuck. At the moment, I'm not selling rights in India or Africa, and we've just done a little bit in Russia, but I think we have to work our way gradually into those markets and go carefully. I also think that foreign rights, they can happen. They don't have to happen in the first year of a book. They can happen a couple of years later. So you can take your time to explore the market and make sure that you've picked the right partner to work with every time. So far, we've been lucky with everyone. But in my distant past, we did make some hasty decisions and not get paid for things. So I think it's quite good to be able to take your time and do the exploration properly. I've got another really boring financial top tip, but it comes of having been through several crises in the past, and that is match your currencies where you can. So if you're printing in dollars, sell in dollars. If you're printing in sterling, sell in sterling if you can, because then when there's a sudden drop or hike either way, at least you're matching the same things one to another and you're not losing. You may not get as much money as you thought you would, but you might not also lose as much money as you might. So matching currencies, it's very boring, but it's very necessary. although obviously I'm not going to deal in 15 currencies. This is my other top tip that we did talk about earlier, which is pick your peers' brains, and particularly working with the Publishers Association and the IPG, the Independent Publishers Guild, and being around the fairs, particularly in children's publishing. I think it's a small world. We all know each other, and everybody is very happy to share information. So if you're not sure about anything at all, ask your peers, and we'll share information with each other, because it's in everyone's interest for the whole thing to grow, rather than just one person eat all the pie.